All right, go ahead and introduce yourself.
My name is Nick. I play guitar in As I Lay Dying.
I'm Tim. I sing for As I Lay Dying.
All right, you're out supporting An Ocean Between Us. Who came up with the title?
Title came from the lyrics to the third track, and so I wrote the lyrics, and Nick and I actually discussed that being the title is really the first and last idea that came up as far as album titles.
Yeah, it's just when we initially brought that up to everyone, like everyone's like, I don't know. It feels like I don't know. It's like, well, what's your idea? Don't really have anything, and so that ended up being it.
What time into the process of the writing did it come about?
About halfway through, I think.
Yeah, it was in December when I remember us talking. We're on our way to like the Metal Blade Christmas party, and we're talking about it on the way up there. So the I guess the rough idea for the album title was there, like kind of in the middle.
All right. Did you guys approach this writing process differently?
I think so. About half the songs, we sort of worked out. I guess traditionally how we would do it, where just the guitars, we would all get together and write riffs and sort of come up with like a real basic framework for a song. That's like in the past, that's how we usually did it, and then we'd bring that to practice and sort of smooth out the details. And so we did half the album that way, and then the other half of the album we literally would start with like maybe even just a riff sometimes, or maybe just two, and sort of jam it out as a band. And so I think that added to the album's diversity, just by having different methods of writing this time.
How do you write your lyrics? Do you have to sit in a dark room, or do you jot them down while, you know what I'm saying?
It's all
How do you
lighting.
do it?
No, I usually just write whatever's just heavy on my heart. I mean, if being a Christian, I do have like a sense of like doing devotions or just certain times, and it may not be every day, but just days where I sit down and I just kind of lay out what's on my heart, and a lot of times I think I reveal things within myself that I want to change, and of course my frustrations with circumstances around me and things that I hope to change by living differently, or and so I'll write those ideas down, and eventually they'll I'll make a more poetic version of that later, which will essentially be our lyrics.
Cool. Adam D produced it. How involved are you guys in the studio? Did you say, here, take care of this, or are you there with them every step of the way?
No, I think if you followed the band in the last two albums, we were kind of like Tim has produced like For Words Collapse and Shadows of Security, like, and I think that just goes to show that we're very hands on with everything. A little too, I wouldn't say too much, but we think everything out, and in all aspects of the band we're pretty I guess invested in it. Like even like with guitars, like Tim cares about what's going on, and with drums I care about what's going on. We all had a hand in it, so it wasn't like we handed Adam the reins and he just did whatever he wanted. I think we worked in conjunction with him.
Yeah, I'm definitely brought out the best performances out of us. I think that's his strong suit, particularly with a band like us. I'm sure every band's different, but working with us, he just got great performances out of us. He didn't really have to dig into the structure of the songs so much. Although he did question a lot of things, which sort of made us think deeper about it and really be certain when we chose a structure that was absolutely the best possible scenario. But it was mainly performance that he zeroed in on.
Did that take some pressure off of you not having to deal with that, you feel?
Well, yeah, it definitely enabled me to focus almost entirely on what I wanted to do vocally and refining the lyrics and stuff like that. So that definitely helped.
What part of the process was the most pressure?
I would say tracking.
Really?
Yeah, because at least for me, I mean, writing wasn't that big of a deal because it was something that we were all doing together, and
it was fun.
Yeah, but like recording parts, I'm just sitting there and I'm like, okay, this is all me. I can't blow it. And and then there's Adam right there. I'm like, I don't want Adam to think I suck. So that was a little nerve-wracking, but Adam has a good way of keeping things lighthearted and kind of easing off on on your stress and stuff. So it was pretty fun, but that was the most nerve-wracking part for me, because there's some things I was like, I hope I can play that right.
For you?
I agree. I think just just tracking. A lot of times I think that it's easy to get like a 90% good performance or 95%. That extra 5% kind of takes all the more effort, you know. And I think that's the stressful part of it is getting things absolutely perfect because they're under a microscope, you know.
First song done on any album?
First song.
Over
Or there's a song "Bury Us All," which is see, I think it's the 8th track.
8th song, yeah.
Yeah. So that was the first song we wrote, and it's a little bit more death metal influenced, and definitely a faster song for us. And I think it sort of set the pace, you know, for the album as far as you know, everything had to have that type of intensity. It didn't necessarily have to be that fast all the time, but if it wasn't fast, it had to still carry a similar energy.
Last song done.
I think it sounded. Oh yeah,
Wrath Upon Ourselves.
Yeah, Wrath Upon Ourselves. That was the one song, you know, where Adam, we wanted it to just be real chaotic and just like, all of our songs are very well structured and had choruses and this and that, and so we wanted that song to just be all over the place. Adam, I think, doesn't really like that approach, which, you know, was one song on the album. He's like, you know, if you want to do just one song, kind of be off the wall, go for it. But he sort of, I think, brought a balance where it still is chaotic, but it has, he brought a little bit more structure to it, and that was the one song he got involved with arrangement. So
yeah, but that song before, I was kind of like, this is probably the weak link of the album, but when we were finished with it, I was stoked. Like when he had you know, come up with some arrangement ideas when we recorded the drums, it was still kind of like, I don't know. And then when we laid guitars down, I was like, whoa, this is getting pretty sweet, you know. And then Tim did vocals, and he also had like a melodic like melody in his, you know, in his head, and Josh ended up singing it, and the end product was something that I don't think any of us were expecting. So
that was sort of the very last debate we had, is whether or not, because I had this melody, and it was like, it's kind of like almost a breakdown, very mechanical type part that then was what is now the chorus, but everybody's like, oh, we just got to keep it brutal the whole time. I was like, I don't know, there's this melody, I just want to at least try it, and then we just tried it, and it seemed to fit perfectly. So.
Yeah, Adam brought it up. He's like, dude, Tim wants to put a singing part here. I was like, no. Yeah, no.
3 songs that best define the record.
I think Nothing Left, which is the first full track on the record, represents that we have a strong sense of melody, but it's gone a little bit darker on this album. So, and also this style of chorus is a little different than we've ever done before. So that would be one of them. Your turn.
For some reason, even though the whole album doesn't sound like the song, I think Within Destruction is a pretty good, like, I guess, flag for the album. And just because it was the first song we released on the internet and stuff, and we wanted people just to kind of get the idea that it wasn't going to be the same album as any of the other two, and that it was going to be a lot more fast-paced and a lot more intense overall. And I think that is the embodiment of that type of style on the album.
Yeah, that song definitely upset a good portion of our fans, and of course there was people who wanted us to be heavier, and they were stoked that it was heavier. But and then the third one, I guess, would, you know, be something that's, you know, a little bit more like our old style, but I think much more refined with a lot more guitar work, would be The Sound of Truth. You know, it's similar to our old style, not older, but like, you know, our previous album, Shadows of Security. It's similar to that vibe, but I think it just is. There's so much more intricacies, particularly you know, guitar solos and things like that.
All right, where were you when you found out that you guys hit number 8 on the Billboard 200?
I was at home. We were home, weren't we?
No, weren't we on Warped Tour?
No, because
I don't remember.
no, we were at home. We had just gotten home from Warped Tour, and I remember because it's like kind of like Christmas morning where you what, should I wake up early or not? And being the extremely lazy person that I am, I ended up sleeping you know, till like 11 or something, and I woke up and I had like 4 messages on my phone. So
cool.
Sick. Yeah, I don't remember.
You're out on tour with All That Remains, Haste the Day, Through the Eyes of the Dead. Fans of the bands?